You've just entered FlashMoment, where every frame can spark a high-speed pursuit. Buckle up, because from this moment on, heart-pounding chases and elite police tactics will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last second.
You don't step out the car, you're going to be under arrest.
Sir, what did you pull me over for?
I'm not going to keep explaining the same thing to you.
On March 2nd, 2025, this woman appeared to believe that simply calling it traveling instead of driving somehow meant the traffic laws no longer applied. But what stood out wasn't the unusual argument, it was the officer's patience. For nearly 7 minutes, they continued talking with her, verifying her identity, explaining the situation, and repeatedly giving her opportunities to resolve the encounter peacefully.
Northbound York. That's still northbound, speed 40, moderate traffic. If you get a glass of normal, when they have that grappler here, come up along our left side and we'll let them control.
I have to move over the Chargers.
The moment she chose to accelerate was the moment she closed the door on that peaceful outcome. From that point forward, control of the situation shifted entirely to law enforcement. After less intrusive options were exhausted, officers coordinated a grappler deployment as the final intervention. The value of the grappler isn't that it stops a vehicle as quickly as possible, it's that it removes the suspect's mobility, allowing the pursuit to end with less risk to the public and the officers involved.
Keep coming. Step to your right. Get down on your knees. Lay down on your stomach, put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. You are under arrest. Understand that? Are you set?
The woman was ultimately taken into custody without further incident. She now faces multiple charges, including obstructing law enforcement, failing to comply with lawful orders, displaying a fictitious license plate, driving without a valid license, and fleeing from police.
Pretty cool. How do you get that off now?
It's a process.
Okay. Get out of the way, Till.
Spike strips were positioned ahead to limit the suspect's options, while armed officers simultaneously sealed off every possible escape route. The moment the vehicle came to a stop, the pursuit immediately transitioned into a high-risk felony stop. Officers moved in almost simultaneously, removed the suspect from the vehicle, and brought him under control within seconds. In incidents involving the potential for an armed confrontation, those first few seconds are often the most critical.
We ain't leaving it for a while. You're in my way now, mate. We literally just see him stop and get the fucking grip.
Alright, move over to the left. Why not?
On February 13th, 2025, a driver who repeatedly sped, jumped curbs, and weaved through traffic left a CCSO sergeant with little reason to wait. As the danger to the public continued to grow, allowing the pursuit to continue was no longer the safest option. The Grappler was deployed to bring the chase to an end before it could put even more people at risk. What do you think about the Grappler? Comment 1 if you believe it's one of the most effective pursuit tools in use today. And if you enjoy in-depth police pursuit analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know what you'd like to see next. A pursuit is rarely decided by speed alone. More often, it's decided by the moment one side is forced to change the game. That's exactly what happened in Washington County, Florida on December 20th, 2024, when Marcus Deshaun Williams refused to stop for a lane violation, leading the Florida Highway Patrol on a chase that exceeded 100 miles per hour.
To a cemetery.
Every time Williams accelerated or brake-checked the patrol car, he wasn't just trying to increase the gap, he was forcing troopers to constantly reassess when to intervene. For the FHP, acting too early could create even greater danger, while waiting too long meant allowing the suspect to carry those speeds toward innocent motorists ahead. When the pursuit entered Holmes County, the opportunity finally arrived. Troopers immediately shifted from following to action, executing a PIT maneuver that brought the vehicle pursuit to an end. Williams then tried to escape on foot, but he lasted only a few more minutes before a K9 team tracked him down and took him into custody. No one was injured during the incident, and that's what makes this pursuit stand out. In the end, the Florida Highway Patrol didn't regain control by being faster than the suspect. They did it by being patient enough to act at exactly the right moment.
You're right now. We're running north south in the woods.
What would you do if the vehicle weaving across the road in front of you was a full-size tow truck? That's exactly what drivers in Springfield, Missouri were forced to deal with as an unusually chaotic pursuit turned busy city streets into a place where a single mistake could have had devastating consequences.
Turn lane, slowing down to 25 and heavy traffic. Jump the curb into oncoming traffic.
From the very beginning, officers knew this wasn't a typical pursuit. The driver repeatedly punched the windshield, climbed partially out of the window, and at times appeared to steer the tow truck from the passenger seat while it was still moving.
On the shoulder, southbound bypass.
Yes, spikes were hit. Spikes were hit.
Clear spike for hit.
Getting into 142, southbound from 142 on the bypass. Alright. 604 on my Stop! Stop!
Radio traffic reflected the growing concern. Several officers believed the driver was experiencing severe impairment or was under the influence of alcohol or drugs, making his next move almost impossible to predict.
Clear 2 heavy for CPR approaching Phoenix. Clear approaching green, northbound.
As the situation evolved, so did the strategy. Spike strips were deployed multiple times in an effort to create a safe opportunity to end the pursuit. But when traffic became too heavy, officers made the decision to call off a planned TVI. They accepted letting the suspect travel a few more miles rather than risking innocent lives to end the chase just a few minutes sooner.
Let me take over primary. K9. Back off. Radar northbound from Mount Vernon approaching Walnut. Speeds are 21. Thank you, my leader. Get the dog on it.
The pursuit ultimately ended with the suspect's arrest. Looking back, the most remarkable part wasn't how far the tow truck traveled. It was the restraint shown by the officers. In a pursuit where almost nothing was predictable, discipline and the ability to adapt were what brought it to a safe conclusion.
No, don't do it. I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent man. Sir, I'm an innocent man. I really am an innocent man. It's God.
Some pursuits don't end when the vehicle stops. Sometimes that's only half the mission. That was the case in Thurston County, Washington, where a stolen vehicle repeatedly drove the wrong way at speeds approaching 100 miles per hour.
Vehicle's smoking pretty bad. Yeah, please. One more passing zone in the corner. Or still west.
A well-timed grappler quickly took away the vehicle's mobility, sending it through a chain-link fence before it crashed into a tree. Just minutes later, K9 Mac helped locate and apprehend the suspect. A subsequent search warrant led to the recovery of a handgun and suspected methamphetamine. The case is a reminder that disabling the vehicle is only the first step. The ultimate objective is to eliminate the threat by taking the suspect safely into custody.
Get up! Let me see your f***ing hand!
On February 21, 2024, in Escambia County, Florida, an Audi repeatedly left the highway, cut through residential roads, drove the wrong way, and exceeded 100 miles per hour in an effort to break up the pursuit. But no matter how often the route changed, FHP Air 31 maintained continuous visual contact from above, feeding real-time updates to the units on the ground.
And he's making the right turn on Molino.
That coordination allowed troopers to keep steady pressure on the suspect without having to stay dangerously close through every high-risk section of the pursuit. Each time the Audi changed direction, officers ahead already had the information they needed to reposition instead of reacting at the last second. What began as a chase gradually became a coordinated effort to take away the suspect's room to maneuver.
All right, that's a good pit, good pit. Everybody slow down, don't, got one in the road. All right, that's a good pit, good pit. Good pit, Molino Road. One about the 3900 block, Molino Road. All right, that's a good pit, good pit. Good pit, Molino Road. One about the 3900 block, Molino Road.
The turning point came on Molino Road. Seeing that the conditions were finally right, Sergeant M. Pepitone executed a PIT maneuver that sent the Audi into a ditch, where it rolled multiple times before coming to rest. The driver was safely taken into custody and transported to a hospital for evaluation. Investigators later determined he was also connected to 2 hit-and-run crashes and was wanted in the state of Wisconsin.
Get on the ground!
Suspect coming out.
Get on the ground!
Walking around. Okay. Okay. They had the driver in custody. Driver in custody, and that was definitely a roll at the end of that. I had 5 troopers out with it.
Most people will remember the PIT maneuver in the final moments. From a tactical perspective, though, it was simply the last step in a plan that had been developing throughout the pursuit. Air 31 never physically stopped the Audi, but by maintaining continuous situational awareness for every unit involved, it created the conditions for the pit to be executed at the right time, in the right place, and with the lowest practical level of risk. On May 5th, what began as a routine traffic stop quickly escalated when a driver with a suspended license and an outstanding warrant for a hit-and-run refused to pull over. Within minutes, deputies found themselves in a pursuit that required them to constantly adapt their tactics. A PIT maneuver was attempted first, sending the vehicle down an embankment, but the driver managed to regain control and continued fleeing. When the initial tactic failed to end the pursuit, deputies immediately switched to the Grappler. Although the tether snapped during deployment, the mechanism remained locked onto the rear wheel, taking away the vehicle's mobility and bringing the pursuit to an end.
Vehicle stop, high risk. Vehicle stop, high risk stop. Take off again, watch out.
The driver ultimately surrendered, and deputies also found a passenger inside the vehicle. Looking back, the defining moment wasn't the pit or the grappler alone. It was the deputy's ability to recognize when one tactic had reached its limit and transition to another. In real-world pursuits, that kind of adaptability is often what allows officers to safely bring a dangerous situation under control while minimizing the risk to everyone else.
10-4 in my location. I'm gonna be going south on 63. We're almost to I-25. If somebody can set up some spikes right there.
On September 28, 2023, near Santa Fe, New Mexico, a reckless driver led the New Mexico State Police on a high-speed pursuit after refusing to stop. Within minutes, State Road 63 had become a dangerous corridor where every tactical decision had to balance apprehending the suspect with protecting the public.
He's slowing down. He's gonna take Old Denver Highway. 10-4, he's not gonna take Old Denver Highway. He has a tire iron. Felony, stop.
The pursuit took a more urgent turn when the suspect nearly struck a bicyclist. At that point, public safety became the priority. Troopers deployed spike strips, successfully deflating one of the vehicle's tires and significantly reducing its mobility. Even so, the driver refused to stop. After the suspect continued making unpredictable maneuvers, officers determined the conditions were right for a PIT maneuver, sending the vehicle off the roadway and bringing the vehicle pursuit to an end.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
The suspect immediately fled on foot, but a nearby citizen quickly stepped in to block the escape route, giving troopers the opportunity to close the distance. Although the suspect continued to resist on the ground, officers safely took him into custody. Fortunately, the female trooper was not injured, and the civilian who assisted deserves recognition for helping bring the incident to a close without any additional serious injuries.
What's your problem? Stop resisting!
This case is a reminder that no single tactic solves every pursuit. It was the combination of spike strips, a well-timed PIT maneuver, effective ground control, and timely assistance from a member of the public that ultimately brought the pursuit to a safe conclusion.
Laying in a loop and throwing Kelly.
On January 18, 2022, in Peachtree City, Georgia, officers knew from the very first contact that this wasn't going to be a routine traffic stop. Jordan Johnson was already wanted for fleeing from law enforcement, and just seconds later those concerns were confirmed when he accelerated away on Highway 74.
Approaching Dividend Drive.
Most people remember the PIT maneuver that ended the pursuit. What they don't see are the split-second decisions leading up to it. When one officer had an opportunity to intervene, he deliberately gave up the position to Sergeant Eden, who was certified to perform PIT maneuvers. At highway speeds, having the right officer execute the tactic can matter more than acting a few seconds sooner.
Hearing northbound on 74, heavy traffic. Northbound on 74, heavy traffic.
Hit 1050.
What's your 20?
Johnson pushed the stolen Ford F-150 past 90 miles per hour, repeatedly changing direction and putting other motorists at risk. Once the conditions were right, Sergeant Eden executed the PIT, sending the truck across the median. Another patrol unit immediately moved in to pin the vehicle, preventing Johnson from driving away again.
Put it up. All right, here, do me a favor. Come to this side. Put your knees right here. Sit on your butt. Okay, we're going to search you up here, okay? Yep. Ready? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and stand up. 1, 2, 3. Come on.
Yep.
Come in front of my truck.
Jordan Johnson was quickly taken into custody without further incident. A search of his person uncovered a box cutter. In addition to the new charges for fleeing and driving with a suspended license, Officers also served the outstanding warrant that had prompted the stop in the first place, bringing to an end a pursuit that never needed to happen. Running on pavement is one thing. Taking the chase into an open field is an entirely different gamble. Near Mayflower, Arkansas, a speeding driver refused to stop for the Arkansas State Police, setting off a pursuit that crossed multiple roadways before the suspect suddenly turned into soybean fields. Throughout the chase, the driver weaved through traffic, past other vehicles, and repeatedly used the oncoming lane to widen the gap. But the moment the pursuit left the pavement, the terrain began to change the equation. The soft, uneven ground robbed the vehicle of the speed it had relied on, while ASP units quickly tightened the perimeter from multiple directions. With nowhere left to go, the vehicle was forced to stop in the middle of the field. Troopers immediately transitioned to a high-risk felony stop, ordering the suspect out of the vehicle before safely taking them into custody. During the pursuit, nearby residents also assisted law enforcement by providing information about the suspect's direction of travel. This pursuit is a reminder that changing terrain doesn't always change your luck. Sometimes the route that looks like an escape is the very place where every option runs out. Longest. Subscribe to FlashMoment and hit the notification bell so you never miss another high-speed pursuit. See you next time.